Hello, everyone. It is summer, and one of the things that people like to do in the summer is take summer vacations and travel. And one of the most popular places that people like to go into the summer is theme parks or amusement parks. And I'm going to talk to you today about something that people may not think of, which is what do you do or how do you handle a visit to a theme park when you have a party of three? This could also kind of work for any odd numbered party, like a party of five. But I'm going to talk about a party of three because, for example, on our last Walt Disney World trip, there were three of us, me and Megan and Ben. And we've also gone to local or smaller theme parks many times as a party of three. Either me and Megan and Ben more recently, or before Ben was born, sometimes it was me and Andrew and Megan. So theme park rides, a lot of them are designed for pairs of people to sit together, especially if you think of like roller coasters. You're sitting together in pairs in two. So if you have a third person, what happens with that? So I kind of want to talk about that today. There are some positives and negatives to having a party of three when you visit a theme park. Now, if you're going someplace local, like we've often gone to Valley Fair or Nickelodeon Universe at Mall of America, those are the two theme parks that are closest to us. I've taken the kids to like Mount Olympus in Wisconsin Dells. You aren't necessarily staying overnight. It's not a vacation destination. It might just be a day trip. But I'm going to talk about, like, especially related to Disney, or it could be like Universal or someplace like that, where you're going for an actual vacation and you're staying there for a while. And I'm going to talk about three different areas. Well, four actually. One would be rides. Second one would be when you're eating. A third one would be lodging. And then I'm going to talk about going to the bathroom, okay? Because this could actually be helpful to you. All right, so the first one for rides. How do you deal with a party of three on rides? Well, some rides, and I'm going to use Disney World as my example, some rides, all of you can sit together. For example, Peter Pan's Flight, It's a Small World, right across the walkway, Living with the Land in Epcot, in the Land Pavilion, even Soarin', you're all right next to each other. There's lots of rides like that. Kilimanjaro Safaris in Animal Kingdom, where the seating is big enough. Jungle Cruise, lots of them, where you can all sit together side by side. It doesn't matter how many people are with you. There's a lot of rides like that. Pirates of the Caribbean. I can think of a whole bunch where you can all fit on the bench. So the Winnie the Pooh ride, there we were behind each other, but we were still in the same honey pot. So there's lots of rides like that where you can all sit together. So that's one possible solution. But if you're going on a ride where you can't sit together, and that would be most like roller coaster type rides. So for example, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Expedition Everest, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Space Mountain. Well, Space Mountain at Disney World is a little different. Space Mountain at Disney World, you're sitting behind each other, so you're not next to anybody anyway. But Space Mountain at Disneyland, you are 2 by 2. So when you have a ride like that, how do you handle that when you have three people? Well, the way that we usually do it, Ben, given his age, never wanted to ride alone or with a stranger. For example, trying to think, sometimes they will put you alone. Like if it's not too busy, they'll put you alone and you might have an empty seat next to you if it's just you. But most of the time, like I'm thinking of like Slinky Dog Dash at Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios, they were pairing us up with so that no seat was empty. They were doing the even and odd groups and arranging it so that no seat was empty. So you are going to end up, if you're that third wheel, you're going to end up sitting next to someone you don't know who was happened to be close to you in line. So Ben never wanted to be by himself. So the way that we would handle that is basically we would take turns. Sometimes Ben would sit with Megan and I would be and in fact, most of the time that's what it was. Ben and Megan would sit together and I would sit alone, but not really alone because I would be next to some other, oftentimes it was a kid who didn't know me. And then other times Ben and I would sit together and Megan would sit by herself. And in the past, same thing with Megan and Andrew, you know. So the older kid was usually more agreeable to sometimes ride by themselves, if you will. So that's the way that we would handle that. This obviously is not going to work very well if you have very small children. If you have very small children, then what I suggest to you is to use rider swap. Most theme parks have something like this, and even if they don't advertise it, if you ask the ride attendant, they'll usually do it, which is basically nobody's going to get to go together. Like, say there's 2 adults and a very small child who doesn't meet the height requirement for the ride. You'll all wait in line together. They'll let the one adult ride the ride while the other one waits there with the child. And then when that adult comes back, they'll let them stay with the child and the other adult will get to go ride the ride. But they don't have to wait in line again. So that's an option. The other thing is single rider line. Megan took advantage of the single rider line on this last trip to ride Expedition Everest a couple of times. Once she went through with a fast pass, and the other 2 times she rode single rider line. Single rider line even works with groups of 3, and I talk about that a little bit in our vlog the day we went to Epcot's Future World, and I will link that up here so you can, it's at the very beginning of the vlog when I talk about it. So that's how we handle that with a younger kid. So that's kind of how it is with rides. So it's doable. You can manage it. It helps obviously if somebody in the group is willing to sit with strangers once in a while. But a lot of rides do have the ability to accommodate the whole group of 3 together. Okay, second thing, dining. The cool thing about dining, I actually found dining as a group of 3 to be an advantage. Why? Because most tables are set up for 4 people or more, okay? And so we would usually get a table that's meant for 4 people with 4 chairs around it. So we always had an extra chair for our stuff. I actually commented on this to the kids when we were there, and I said, this is actually really handy. We have, 3 chairs for us, and then we could set like our stuff on the 4th chair. So it was actually really convenient because then we didn't have to put like the camera, the phone, the fanny pack, whatever on the table where it's going to get messed up with the food, or we might accidentally forget it or throw it away. And so we just put everything together on the chair. So that was really great. So that's something with dining. You're obviously not going to have a problem with the table service restaurants. If you're making the reservation for 3, they're going to give you an appropriate sized table. Okay. And the other thing with dining is that's kind of nice too, like at counter service restaurants. The kids could go and save the table and they would be together while I went and got the food. So, not one person is sitting by themselves, for example. I think if I was doing a theme park with just one kid, maybe not a teenager, they'd probably be fine. I would probably take them with me to get the food and stay together because I wouldn't want to leave them alone. Okay, then lodging. I really wish the United States, and I think I've said this in a previous video, would get on board with the rest of the world. Nicer hotels in Europe and Asia understand that everybody doesn't want to sleep together in the same bed. I don't know why. In the United States, the only configurations, well, not always. Once in a while, you'll see like bunk beds or something. But they usually only have either a king bed, 1 king, or 2 queens. Okay? So if you're a family of 4, mom and dad are sharing a bed, and then the 2 kids got to sleep in a bed together. Well, I can pretty much guarantee that there's no 2 kids at home sleeping in a bed together. So, and then like for our family, there is no dad. It's me and 3 kids. And Megan and I will sleep together. But Andrew and Ben, they hate having to share a bed. Andrew is tall and needs a lot of space. Ben moves around a lot. They've had all sorts of issues with like covers and hitting each other's heads and together and stuff. And so it just doesn't work. In the future, if all 4 of us go, I'm going to need a bigger budget because I'm going to have to get 2 rooms so everybody can have their own bed. But when you look at hotels like at Tokyo Disneyland, like the Hilton, or at Disneyland Paris, some of the off-site hotels have all sorts of bed configuration options. 4 twins, 2 queens and 2 twins. I mean, they have all sorts of stuff. And I don't understand why American hotels do not get that they should do that too. People would be very happy if they had more bedroom configuration options. So like at Disney World, even like in suites, sometimes the configuration is, oh, there's a bedroom with a queen bed in it, and then your other beds are like a pull-out couch. Nobody wants to sleep on a pull-out couch. They're not comfortable. So some of the places like will have the Murphy bed, which is a full-size regular mattress, so those are better than a pull-out couch. Or they'll have the little pull-down bed. Port Orleans Riverside has that. Does Caribbean Beach have that now too? Where else do they have that? I can't remember. Anyway, and then they have like the day beds and the deluxes. So it might work for like our party of 4. But sleeping can be tricky. It depending on the configuration of your family and who's in your group. You're kind of, if you're in America, you're almost always going to be stuck with 2 queen beds. So that's something to consider. So who is the person that's going to get to sleep alone, I guess is the question. Okay, and then I was thinking about this, about going to the bathroom. It is nice. It was easy for me. Well, last time we went to Disney World, it was me, Andrew, Ben, and Megan. And they at the time were 18, 10, and 6. It was helpful that Andrew technically was an adult. He could take Ben to the bathroom. And I could take Megan to the bathroom. So that was nice. It is nice. More and more theme parks and amusement parks are getting family restrooms. So if you have a tricky situation, like you're a single dad with just a little girl, or you're a single mom with just a little boy, you don't have to worry too much because you can usually find a family restroom or a gender-neutral restroom that you can use to go with them if they're young. Ben's to the age now where we can let him go to the bathroom by himself, but it is nice to always have that group of 3 is actually nice for the bathroom situation, because either, say it's during a meal, one person can stay at the table, the other big person can take the little guy to the bathroom or whatever. Or even when you're waiting for somebody to come out of the bathroom, you have a buddy with you to sit and talk to while you're waiting. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, is parties of 3 at a theme park and amusement park. How do you handle those situations? So we talked about rides, dining, lodging, and restrooms. There are advantages and disadvantages, but hopefully I gave you some helpful tips so that you can figure out how to manage that when you go on your theme park vacation. Thanks everyone for watching, and safe travels.
We can make a wildfire getaway.